for a couple of people to sit down. I'm Bertie from Eurogamer. Thanks for coming. I hope you have a wonderful day. But you're all here to see The Witcher 3. We have Mateusz Tomaszkiewicz, all the way from Poland, here to present it. So give him a warm applause.
Thank you very much. Thank you for introduction. I'm going to talk a little bit about the development process of The Witcher 3 from a designer perspective. But before we go to that, I'd like to remind everyone a little bit about our company. Probably most of you already know that. We made The Witcher games, so The Witcher 1 and The Witcher 2, Assassins of Kings. Right now we are working on 2 new titles, which are The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt and Cyberpunk 2077. I'm going to focus in this presentation on The Witcher 3 development, but before we go to that, I'm going to show you our gameplay debut trailer. So, there you go.
Product not yet rated. Six months, Nilfgaard's legions had pierced the heart of the northern realms. Behind them, blood-soaked fields, war-swept wastes. A lone wolf roamed these broken lands, a beast slayer, a whirlwind of rage and steel. They say he was a man obsessed, chasing memories, faces, scents. Yet amidst the chaos, he could only follow his heart. Some fight for glory, justice, or gold. I fight for those I hold dear. I'm Geralt of Rivia, the Witcher.
So, this was a little introduction to The Witcher 3. And before I start talking about the subject of my presentation, so combining complex storyline with open world game, I'm going to talk a little bit about key features of our previous games. So, first of all, complex and mature storyline. We always gave a lot of effort in our games to make the storyline very mature, to make it very interesting, to make it very well developed, and to make the characters interesting. Also, the second thing that we, especially at Witcher 2, took care of was cinematic storytelling, which was dynamic, which gave you this feeling that events have fast pacing and that you feel that you have a drive to do each quest. Strong, interesting characters. I already spoke about this. We took always great care about introducing characters properly, to make good connections between them, to make them convincing, and each of them with interesting base stories. And of course, graphics and our unique art direction. Still, aside that we are very proud of our previous games, we felt that our games lack something. And that something, in our understanding, is exploration. In our previous games, we really felt the need to implement more open environments, which would allow the players to immerse themselves with the game world deeper. And we believe that making the game open world is a great tool to do so, because the environment, feeling that this world is really living, and everyone in it has their own lives, and it's convincing. So, sounds good enough, right? But easier said than done. When we started working on The Witcher 3, we discovered 3 main design problems that we believe we need to take care of. First one is the pacing. This one worried us because the players have to traverse very large areas. So how to keep the dynamic pacing in our quests? How to make the storyline dynamic? Second was complexity. In here, we were worried that the players might forget about connections between the factions, between characters, between many, many details that we have in our games, when they will be allowed to roam the open world, which is huge, and to make side quests, which are very numbered. The third problem, which is really important as well, is how to avoid creating repetitive events. We don't want our quests to be repetitive. We don't want them to be FedEx quests. So I'm going to go through each and every problem one by one. So first of all, dynamic pacing versus open landscape. So the thing that I mentioned before, running long distances only to see a single dialogue or event is annoying, because if you traverse a long distance, you are counting on seeing something interesting. You're counting on doing many important and interesting things at that spot. And another thing, from a designer perspective, from a quest designer perspective, is that it's hard to predict which path will be chosen by the player. This means that we won't be able to put a number of events between those 2 spots. So you won't have this dynamic pacing because of that. Our solution is something that we called event clusters. The event cluster is a region of the open world in which quest events take place. As you can see on the illustration, which is here, when the players are playing a quest, for example, you are doing a task for the druids at one of the islands, you have a number of tasks that you have to do. That's what those red dots are symbolizing. And when you are told to go to another island, when you go to that island, you have also a number of events there. Thus, we make a chain of events in there. And this chain of events means that we can keep dynamic storytelling in this place. Of course, in between those 2 places, you have a lot of side quests, you have a lot of minor quests, you have many things to do. So we took care that the players will always have something interesting to see in those places. Another thing, complex story versus number of quests. As I said before, we believe that vast number of side quests and gameplay activities in the open world might become an issue if the storyline will be as complex as it was in the previous games. And we aim to make it as complex and as mature as it was before. We are not making any compromises because we are implementing the open world. We want to keep it the way it was, and we need to find a way to make the players able to follow all the dependencies and between factions and characters that take part in the story. So what is our idea? Actually, we have 2 of them. The first one is attractive reminders. The first one of those reminders is a storybook. It's a new feature that we are implementing in The Witcher 3. Those will be animated reminders that will remind you what you did last time in the main storyline. Those will be also narrated with voiceovers. And the second thing is flashbacks. So the feature that we already used in the previous Witcher games. Those are animated sequences that remind you what the consequence, what was the choice that caused this certain consequence at this certain point. It is also animated and with narration. The second thing is NPC's design. We make sure that each and every of our characters is distinctive and memorable, either by interesting dialogues and scenes that introduce those characters, also by unique graphic design. We have many models in The Witcher 3, much more than in The Witcher 1 or The Witcher 2. Another thing from the quest designer perspective is active role they take in the game. So they are not merely who give you quests and wait for you until you do them. They actually take part in the storyline and that in the events that take place, like they did in our previous games. So they are involved in the chain of events that I spoke about. So this is the last problem that we need to deal with. And those are initial reactions of designers to the vast size of our open world. If you played World of Warcraft, you probably know what I'm aiming at. So, how to fill the vast space with content which won't be repetitive and boring? We have divided our quests into a few different types. Monster huntings, major side quests, mini-game quests, and many, many more. And we have made sure that those will be spread between regions in a way that they are not overused in any region of the world. Also, we work hard to put memorable elements in each and every quest. Even the smallest quests that you will encounter in our game will have something that you will remember after you finish the game. So, to sum up, for us, an open world is not a goal in itself. It's more of a tool for increasing immersion with the game world. We have designed a number of solutions to combine a complex storyline with an open world. Also, we want to keep all the qualities of our previous games in The Witcher 3, combining them with an open world. So, before I end this presentation, I have one more video for you.
By order of the Emperor of Nilfgaard, for the murder of the wounded, looting, cannibalism, you are hereby sentenced to death by hanging or torment.
Medal. Take the reward and let's go.
Help me!
Knew you witches wouldn't scorn imperial gold. Tough hunt.
Tougher than yours, that's certain. Evil is evil. Lesser, greater, middling, makes no difference.
Can't fit me. Bring her down. Do it my way. You like that, you bitch? Get the hammer. Kick her teeth in.
The degree is arbitrary, the definition's blurred. If I'm to choose between one evil and another, I'd rather not choose at all. Just make it quick, Geralt.
What the?
Close your eyes.
Hit him! What are you doing?
Killing monsters.
Thank you very much for listening.
That was very good. Very rousing trailer at the end. We have time for some questions. So if you have one, please put your hand up. It's kind of hard to see you with the lights in our face here, but we'll get a microphone to you. Fire away. We have one here in the middle.
I was just wondering, can you comment on how you found development to be on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, and how the game will compare between high-end PCs and the next generation platforms?
We are working hard right now to make the game work evenly on all three platforms, being PC, Xbox One, and PS4. And we hope that we will manage to keep the high standard of graphics at each three platforms. Our programmers are working hard to achieve that, and right now I can only tell that we are working on it, and we already managed to launch it on some platforms, aside of PC, of course, and yeah, we're working on it.
Okay, another one in the middle here.
It's the third in a series, obviously. You mentioned the sort of complex storyline and characters. If someone hasn't played the first two,
yeah.
is it, do you get caught up on sort of the situation, the events,
Mm-hmm.
And the factions?
Mm-hmm. We are working hard to introduce the storyline and the universe to each new player as well. So, in our opinion, it will be enjoyable for the new players as well. So, if you haven't played Witcher 1 and Witcher 2, you will be able to play The Witcher 3 and enjoy it and understand everything we have so far in the game. And actually, it was an issue with Witcher 2 that was reported to us by some fans on our forums, that some of them did not catch up on the previous events. So we are aiming to fix this in the third installment. And of course, it is, if you played the previous games and if you read the books, you will have more depth in game. You will understand more. But as I said, it will be enjoyable.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, one at the back here. This guy in the middle, or someone?
Hiya. I was just wondering, because CD Projekt hasn't actually been around that long in game development terms, and I was wondering what you think. Games have become much more ambitious in scale and development and popularity with each successive title that's come out. And I was wondering what you thought about the way that the company might have changed in terms of its size and its focus, and whether you think it might have actually created difficulties as well as opening new arenas for exploration.
Yes, the company has grown very large throughout the years. I mean, it still can't compete with the biggest companies out there. But in comparison to the size of our company in the previous years, it's much bigger. It's much harder to coordinate between departments because we have many more people. For example, during production of The Witcher 2, we had around 4 quest designers, and right now we have 8. And other departments have grown more as well. Also, of course, we have a whole independent team that is working on the Cyberpunk game. And we had to do some changes in the structure of the studio as well, so we can manage 2 huge projects at the same time. And lately we have acquired also a studio in Krakow, and this studio is helping us. And of course, they are also working on something of their own, which I can't say yet on what. And it's going pretty well, I'd say. It has grown bigger, but we didn't lose those values that we adhered to before. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Another question? Yes, one. We have Geralt in the front row.
Oh.
Is there going to be a role for Yennefer or Ciri in the third game?
I can't say that yet, but I can tell you that we will have characters from the books and from the previous games in the game.
I'd like to understand more about the event clusters and how
Yes.
those drive the sequence in which players resolve the quests or encounter them.
Mm-hmm. So you have those regions in which quest events take place. It's not like it's not a closed-off area. It's just a region of the open world. And let's say you're playing one quest, and this quest takes part in this region. So you have a series of events, a chain of events that take part in there. Like, to give you an example from The Witcher 2, when you went to Vergen, when it was under siege, you had a series of scenes in there. You had many cutscenes, you had many exciting things going on in there. And in Witcher 3, you will have that as well, but we couldn't spread it between the whole landscape of the open world, because it would run too thin, and you wouldn't feel this dynamic pacing. So those events are just placed closer one another. So you have, like I said, if you are on one island, let's say in a village, you have a number of events in there. And then if you're asked in a quest to go, for example, to a forest on the other side of the island, if you go there, you will have another series of events in the forest. I don't know if that's...
There's less zigzagging back and forth.
Yeah, yeah. But what we wanted to avoid is to send you, to a different side of map just for one dialogue or for just one simple task. That's what we try to avoid. Thank you.
Any more questions? Yeah, one in the middle, then we have one down the front.
Hi, I was just curious what CD Projekt Red's position on SteamOS and the Steam boxes. Is that interesting to you, or is it just sort of like an extra rung on the ladder of the platforms you support?
I think that's more of a question for my superiors, to be honest. But I know that it's not out of the question. I know that there is some interest in it, but as I said, it's not kind of decision that I could make or even be included into.
We have one down the front first, and then
Will you be implementing any features in the sense of like Xbox One's Connect or PS4's touchpad?
Ooh, that's a tough question. It's hard to answer that yet because we are working on Xbox One and PS4 features exclusively. But it's not fully developed yet, so I don't know, to be honest. Excuse me? I don't think it's on. I'll just say louder, yeah. Yeah. Do I understand correctly? You're asking about enemies' consistency? Persistent. Yeah. Oh, you mean level scaling? Oh, yeah. There are some enemies that will chase you if you lure them out of their encounter areas, and there are some that will keep to their lairs or their regions. So it's divided.
one just behind, nice and close.
Hello? Yes,
Hey.
it's working. Yeah, first of all, let me just say that the trailer that you just showed us was pretty impressive.
Thank you.
I'd just like to talk more about the combat in the game and how that's changed from the previous ones to Witcher 3.
Actually, it's a shame that there is no gameplay designer with me. They would talk about this much better. But from what I know, the combat is much more intimate. So It's not as chaotic as it was in Witcher 2, but still as challenging as it was. The pacing of the combat is a little slower, so you can see what your enemies are aiming to do. We have removed rolling animation. We know that fans didn't like it too much. So we have added pirouettes instead of it. We have the same amount of signs, but we have added bonus functionality to each one of them. So you have simple cast, for example, or you can prolong the cast of the spell. So on an example of Igni spell, you can either just cast a wave of fire or hold it and use it like a... I see it as a flamethrower, but people from gameplay don't like it to call it that way. What else? We have much more monsters that we had in the previous game, and we aim to have more opponent types. Also, we aim to make the opponents communicate during the combat, so it feels more natural. I don't know if that explains everything you wanted to ask. Yeah. Thank you.
Any more? We'll one here, and then we'll come down to the front.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How do you plan on, well, are you able to talk about the modding community at all? And how you plan to implement some of them?
We have released RedKit tool for The Witcher 2 some time ago, and for Witcher 3, we are aiming to release the RedKit sooner than we did for The Witcher 2. But as it was with The Witcher 2, it's the reasons for the late release of the tool was that we needed more time to, to make the tool more accessible for modder community. So we don't want to release a tool which will be troublesome and too complex, but at the same time we aim to release it much earlier.
Okay, we have one down the front.
Hi,
Hey.
You mentioned how flashbacks and how we would see them, see how they relate to choices we make. Does this mean that we'll see events or even event clusters changing to be drastically different depending on the choices that we make?
You will see the event which took part when you were making the choice, and you will see a graphical representation of the event that transpires now. We used it for the previous games as well. It's an animated movie with narration beneath it, basically. Thanks.
I think we are just about out of time for questions. So, Matthias, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you for having me.